Good morning. I'm making this at somewhat normal time. A couple of things. I was, going through YouTube, getting ready to set this up, and I saw a headline on there. Supreme Court with a picture of Rachel Maddow on it, and it says Supreme Court closed. All kinds of security things and everything like that. So I went and I started reading the story, and I'm reading. I said, "This makes no sense to me. I would have seen this someplace else." So I went and checked. Part of it was supposed to have been a CNN story. So I went to CNN, and I can't find the story. So this is just another one of these bullshit things that went up, as far as I can tell. And of course, a similar company put this up. The Trump era is over. Furious state Senate leaders have abandoned Trump, sending Washington into total chaos. And that was supposedly happened around the same time, midnight last night. So this is all what I'm telling you about bullshit that's coming through, And people are wishful thinking. And you click on this, and you're giving this guy, if you get 1,000 people, you're giving this guy $400 or something like that, Because they're doing click by, that's how they get paid, per click. I have to... I have to think about that for a minute. Yeah, but that's what it's done. That's how it's done, All right. So Don Lemon, I'm not sure the way the story's written. If he was arrested for the story, for the church thing that happened a while ago, or this is something new in California. He was arrested last night. I have it written that he was arrested again, but I couldn't. When I read the article wasn't specific about what this arrest was about. So, we have to wait around and figure that out. Don Lemon, arresting reporters is only going to cause Trump, a tremendous amount of grief. Really, that's all it's going to do. He's going to be sitting there trying to figure out, what happened when the backlash hits him, and that story is comes at a time when today there's supposed to be national anti-ICE protests. So wow, attempt to, I don't know what. All right, but that's a trick, to cause problems and to keep because you read that a reporter got arrested. That should might keep the amount of protesters down. On the other hand, it might increase them, and it might increase them to become more agitated and upset, which is what Trump wants, because then he can declare martial law. You people have to understand something, all right? He can pretty much, when he does that, after that he can pretty much do whatever he wants. Congress can try to restrict the guidelines for that, but I don't think so. I just absolutely don't think so. I think that there's... he'll just go crazy, And everybody says he can't stop the 2026 midterm elections. No, but he can go around and do a lot of crazy shit. He's got Tulsi Gabbard out there pulling ballots. I don't know. It didn't say what state. Why? The question was, Tulsi Gabbard is involved in the series in seizing 2024 ballots. ballots, voter records, not ballots, voter records. So, that's how he's going to do it, you know. And I'll tell you what, if he takes my voting rights away from me, yeah, there was a period of time where I didn't vote because it just wasn't anybody to vote for. But then people explained to me, but you can vote for the lower positions. You don't have to vote for president. I said, okay. So I try to vote every time there's so many ballots. The last ballot was for the Democratic primary, and I knew nothing about these people. So I wasn't going to sit there and go, eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Because I don't get a lot of news concerning New Jersey, unfortunately. So anyhow, when they send me the vote to November, I'm going to vote, and it costs me money. It costs me about $40 to mail it, and then I'm never sure if they get it in time or not. But I'm going to do it this year, and this might be my last election. I don't know whether I'll be around for 2028. Because, that Trump's out. Big deal. If 2028 comes around, you're going to see a lot of bullshit between 2026 and 2028. And I don't think the Democrats are going to gain control because I think Trump's buying the election. Trump and his boyfriends, Musk and those guys, they got billions and billions and billions of dollars. About $1 trillion, over $2 or $3 trillion together. Could put a couple billion spare change into buying votes. You know what I'm saying? Will there be some violence involved in the election? I think so. Because you're going to try to stop people from doing something they want to do to get rid of this prick, and they're not going to be happy about it. That's why Trump is changing his tune on weapons, because he doesn't want weapons present in areas where they might have to go in with the National Guard or ICE agents or whatever to try and stop voting. He doesn't want guns around. The worst thing for him in this country, and the country in general, is a civil war. The economy will tank. Other countries will start to try and leech things out of here. Take over certain parts of get invested in certain areas of this fight. It'll be too disorganized from a military and a civilian point of view. You won't be able to tell where is the next hotspot going to come up. It won't be long-term planned battles like the original Civil War was. This will be skirmishes. There were a lot of people get killed. That's all it's going to be. All right? So I'm not in favor of it. But it might be coming. So let's forget that now, all right? And move right along. We had this Tracy Gabbard thing that's part of that story, seizing voter records. Why? And besides, there was some story I did the other day about her. I can't remember what it is at the moment. It just tells you how bad my memory's getting. Actually, I don't give a shit when I'm done. I'm done with this stuff for the day. I go on to other things. I have other things that I have to take care of, My sister-in-law is no longer staying with us full time, so I have to, don't have to take care of my wife, but I have to be available for some things that she can't do. Just as there's some things I can't do anymore. I'm developing some sort of severe something or another. See, now I can move my shoulder, but when I get up in the morning, I can't move this thing. It's pathetic and it hurts. So we'll wait and see. I'm still trying to wait for these people to call me back about the part I need for my saw so that I can do some other stuff that I want to do. But nobody wants to talk to me. So this is this is life for an 80-year-old in Colombia. Boy, I'm only 10 minutes into this thing and I have run out of things to talk about. Wow. I'm going to go check something while you watch me. Of course, you know I like to do this stuff. But I'm getting an increasingly bad feeling about YouTube in terms of what I can and I cannot do, you know, in terms of finding out information. I think the whole internet is becoming difficult to find information out. Now here's something concerning Don Lemon. This is the old story. He was arrested for the church. Yeah, this is the original church thing. This was the old one. It's not something that happened last night or something, you know. Don't know what's going on there. I thought he was walking away from that free and clear, but, you know, what can I tell you? Okay, so that one we cleared up right away for you. I like these articles. A lot of articles, their favorite wording is Trump's running scared. Trump's this drives Trump crazy. That drives Trump crazy. Like the shutdown deal looks imminent. Stories. Those are their headlines. Minnesota stages strike to protest Trump's immigration crackdown. And Trump's moving troops domestically, and that's very, very expensive. But this is what they're telling you, you know. Who cares if they're expensive? I believe they're illegal. And that's when you're really going to have a problem. Yeah, let's see as I move along. See, some top Republicans are attacking U.S. protesters but backing Iranian protesters. Well, you know, they'd rather have the war someplace else. That's the distraction. And everybody's... I love this guy on my internet. I'm not sure where it's coming from, but what site it is. I think it's Facebook. He keeps putting up this story about that this all of this is a distraction. Let's not get distraction from the Epstein files. The Epstein files won't be out until sometime next year. Now, if you for 1 second believe that Trump isn't involved in the Epstein situation, then you don't listen to Donald Trump. You've never heard a word that's come out of this man's mouth. The recording that they got in the 2016 campaign where he says, if you have money, they let you grab him by the pussy. You can do anything you want. If that doesn't explain who Donald Trump is and what he is, you know, they want to get him on... Since nobody's bothered by that, they believe that there's going to be some story about pedophilia. Well, that's quite possible. But for what I have no idea. I have terrible time with that because I don't understand how that some of the things people do to very, very young children are even physically possible. But there are enough people involved in that pedophilia in this country and in the world that it's going to be hard to do really damage to this guy as an individual. To pedophilia organizations you can hurt, but To pick him out and go after him, that's going to be really tough, you know. There's a little story about Trump has a picture of Putin on the White House wall. Of course he does. I know there's no dart holes in it though, so he's, probably praying, kneeling and praying before it. Because I mean, even that one goes back to his first presidency, where he said he admired guys like Ken. He liked it when people all sat at attention when little Ken walked in the room. Yeah, he said, look at the respect he gets. That's not respect. That's fear. They don't sit at attention. They disappear tomorrow morning. You want that to happen in your government? Fine. The person that should disappear is you. Nuclear talks between Iran and the U.S. They've never really accomplished anything, you know. We should go in and give them aid domestically on whatever nuclear problems they have, and at the same time, the second that they just start to do something they shouldn't, we should just blow them off the face of the earth. But we should try to help them in a domestic situation, rather than threatening them and trying to take what Trump's trying to do and the U.S. government's trying to do is to take over that operation so that they can make money and screw the poor people of Iran. Why do you think he doesn't like wind power? Because it's almost impossible to tax that. Okay? Those cases will be in court until I am long gone. Alright? Now there was a story, I don't know where it was. It's not here. One of the top five stories in the situation that we have going on around here is Bill Belichick's exclusion from the Hall of Fame, first ballot. I don't care if coaches go in. That's something that came about, I think, later on after it wasn't one of the original ideas. So See, here's somebody that's mentioning the Tulsi Gabbard thing, or her role in the FBI search of Georgia ballots from 2020. And it's frankly insane. That doesn't mean anything, you don't say frankly insane, it's illegal. Say something like that, then that's something that means something. Saying frankly insane is just something to get your name in the paper, I have to hear this new song by Bruce Springsteen, the anti-ice anthem they call it. Says it's not blowing in the wind, but it's okay. And that's it. You go after specific targets. It's kind of like the song doesn't last a long time. You had Dylan's music you could use to protest just about anything. That's how great it was. And I'm not just him, but Arlo Guthrie, Guthrie's father and everything. These people that went back into their 30s when protest music was, the only means of communication they really had. All right, listen up. I'm done for the day on this one, okay? Going over and make the live one. If I could. People have trouble with that because I don't look alive. Yeah. Okay, so hit that subscribe button, comment if you dare, and I will see you guys tomorrow, Saturday. Yeah, I'll be doing tomorrow. Not Sunday though. I got a lot of plans for Sunday. All right, guys, take it easy. Talk to you.